Okay, so today's assignment is 7-2, your homework. We're going to be working on order of operations. It's on page 145 of your packet. So we are talking about the order of operations. I have uploaded another video you can watch. The order of operations would be the PEMDAS. So we start with parentheses, everything in parentheses first. And then we will work to the exponent, and the exponent is that number to the power. And then we will after parentheses is first, and then exponent. And then we have multiply and divide. If you have multiplication and just division, you're going to work from left to right. And addition and subtraction, you're going to work from left to right. So once it's left down to just multiplying and dividing, you go left to right. And when it's an addition and subtraction, you go left to right. So you do multiplying and dividing before you do adding and subtracting. If it's adding and subtracting, you just go left to right. If it's just multiplication and division, you go left to right. So in step one, it says simplify this expression. 27 divided by, parentheses, the quantity of 3 times 3. Now this little dot means multiplication. Then the quantity, 3 times 3, plus 17. So what PEMDAS tells me to do is I do parentheses first. So 3 times 3 is 9, and you can kind of see that I wrote already. I had to redo my video. So we're still going to go 27 divided by 9 plus 17. Okay, so I did parentheses first. Now there's no exponents. Now it says divide, multiply and divide from left to right. Well, the only division problem I have is right here. And 27 divided by 9 is 3. So 3 plus 17. Now it says add and subtract from left to right. So I'm just left with addition. So 3 plus 17 is 20. Okay, so your homework is going to be to do all the evens. I'm going to go through a few examples of the odds, and then if you get the even wrong, I'll have you just try another practice. So in number 3, it shows 8/10 divided by the quantity, and this is in parentheses. So parentheses I do first. 7/100 minus 6/100. Well, I know 7 minus 6 is 1, so I'm left over with 1/100. So I'm going to write 1/100. Well, now I have 8/10 divided by 1/100. Now, when we divide decimals, we need to make sure that we move our decimal points over. So, and when I take 8/10 divided by 1/100, I'm going to multiply this by 100. I'm going to move my decimal point so I have a whole number. So I'm multiplying once, twice, so the decimal's on the right hand side of the 1. So I'm going to do the same thing to my dividend. So what I did to my divisor, I have to do to my dividend. So 8/10 divided by 1/100. 1 goes into 80 times. Now I'm dividing 8/10 or 80/100 by 1/100. There's 80/100 in 80/100. So my answer to this one would be 80. Okay, I'm going to try one more. I'm going to do a fraction one. Okay, so in this one, I have to do what's in parentheses first. 3/8 plus 1/4 is in parentheses. And then I'm going to do that, and I'm going to take it times 16. Now, with 3/8 and 1/4, I need to have the same bottom number, common denominator. They are not common right now. But I notice that this one is 8 and this one is 4. My common multiple, my lowest common multiple, if I start counting by 4, my lowest denominator, I could say 4, 8. Oh, this one is already in 8, so I'm going to keep it because 8 is my lowest common denominator. And 1/4 is how many eighths? Well, 1/4 plus 1/4 would be the same as 4 times 2, 1 times 2, 2/8. So I'm going to take 3/8 plus 2/8 times 16. Now 3/8 plus 2/8, 1/4. If I divide each section into two more, like 4 times 2 and 1 times 2 is 2/8. So 2/8 plus 3/8 is 5/8. 5/8 times 16. I'm going to put 16 over 1. Now, I can multiply across, but I see something I can do to reduce. So I could take 5 times 16 and 1 times 8, but I notice this 8 and this 16 I can divide by 8, which is 1. 16 divided by 8 is 2. So 5 times 2 is 10, and 1 times 1 is 1. So this one is equal to 10. All right. I'm going to do one more example, and I think I'm going to choose this one. 15 is we have multiplication and division. Now remember, when that's the only operations are multiplication and division, we move from left to right. So 1/2 times 1/2 I would do first. Now remember, with multiplication, 1 times 1, I just multiply numerators, and then I multiply denominators, 2 times 2. Now, I'm going to divide this by 1/2. So I change the division to multiplication, and I flip the 1 over 2 to 2 over 1. Now I can multiply across, or I can reduce it before I multiply across. The top and the bottom both have the factor 2 in it. So I divide by 2 and divide by 2. Now I take 1 times 1, I multiply numerators, and then I multiply denominators. So 1/2 times half divided by 1/2 is 1/2. Okay, so now your job is to do the even ones. If you have a question on them, you can text me. When you're done, take a picture of it and submit it on the Google Classroom on today's assignment, Monday, March 23rd. I have a video on Classroom Connections and how to submit a photo if you haven't figured it out. If you want to text me, or others that have done it, Ruby has done it and Karina has done it, Loriana I think has figured it out. Make sure you are submitting your work, and then I will get back to you and let you know how you did. And if you haven't submitted 7-1 yet, go back to last week's assignments and work on 7-1. Have a great day. I miss you guys.